I've been watching it for 40 years.
Are you kidding me?
You're listening to Winning Cures Everything.
Game day, baby. Wake up or get out.
Here's your host,
a confident young man, a superb athlete,
Gary Seegers.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. Yes, it is the October 15th edition of the show. It is the Week 7 college football reaction and recap show. I am your host, Gary Seegers. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at GaryWCE. The show is on Twitter at Winning Cures. You can go over there if you would like to talk to me there. Lots to get into from the week that was in college football, and it was an interesting week. We're only going to talk about 4 games. We're going to recap every conference. We're going to just go through the whole gambit. But yeah, the guy that is to the right of me on your screen, that would be one Matt Huey. Matt, tell them where they can find you. Tell them what you're about, all that good stuff, and yeah, let them know where they can find you on the socials.
So, physical therapist by trade or nature or whatever you want to call that. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube at Strong and Healthy Rehab on all those social, just discussing things about healthcare. So it's good to stay, healthy so we can watch as much football as possible. So that's always good.
You have certainly got that right. Weird injuries and whatnot going on. It's but let me tell you, it's guys that are not what's the word I'm looking for? They're not telling us when guys are out. So we don't know the severity of some of these quarterback injuries and whatnot. I know Washington State had a bunch of guys out and they just got demolished by Arizona. Jed Fish has got that thing rolling. We're not going to talk a bunch of Pac-12 today, but we will be talking some. I know there's been a theme of the show. But we do have a lot to discuss today. First, let me tell you, if you want to support the show, there is a membership thing on. I just turned it on, so I don't know what is going on. Where I'm going to try and do some members only stuff on there. But yeah, if you would like to join, I think it's like $2.99 or something. You can do that. It'll give you some kind of thing in the chat or something. I don't know. If you would like to support the show, you can do that. Or you can go over to buymeacoffee.com/winningcures. I am posting my projections early every week so that you can see exactly what my year-long model says for these games, what I predict that the number is going to be, or at least what my numbers say that the total and whatever else is going to be. So if you would like to do that, buymeacoffee.com/winningcures. If you want to follow all of my plays each week, Telegram. If you only follow the BetUS show, which I'll tell you about that here in a second, did not do so well yesterday. However, if you had taken the ones that I gave you yesterday on the Telegram, would have been in a little bit better place because we had UNLV, we had Miami of Ohio, etc. on there. So Telegram, very easy. Go to your browser on your phone, t.me/GaryWCE. What else have we got? 3 Dog Thursday. Every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time, going to be right here on this channel. TJ Reeves and a cavalcade of guests that he brings in. So TJ, of course, the sideline reporter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and of course, the BetUS College Football Show. Every Tuesday and Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure that you hop in over there. I see John Paul Bacon is already in. He said, go Seahawks. And Packer 910 jumped in and said, let's go. Hey, let's go. Let's go on and hit it. Let's jump in. We're going to start off, as we do each Sunday, with our weekly Heisman guys. Huey, tell me, there were some weird things, right, from the Heisman numbers. There were some guys that didn't fully stand out. There wasn't anybody in like a massive game. Like Michael Penix had good numbers for Washington, and we're going to talk about that game in a minute, but he wasn't the one that I was super impressed with. I've got a wide receiver and a quarterback here that I'm going to talk about, but tell me who you got on your list here. Who have you got?
I got Bo Nix.
He did look good in a loss, but he did look good.
He's looked solid all year. I mean, he threw no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. He's looking good. And I'm wondering, is the loss going to affect him in it? But we had RG3 who won it years ago with what he was like 8-4, or he had several.
No,
losses.
I think it was 9-3. He had that big win over Oklahoma.
Yeah. So, I mean, he had the big wins in it, but I mean, how much they're talking about him, and he just he looked really good.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he lost that game. And I also haven't really seen that he has like a bad game.
Oh,
like
it was a perfect game. Look, Oregon, and we will talk more about it here in a minute, but Oregon did outgain Washington by a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not crazy to think that Oregon could win a rematch at a neutral site.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. But the schedules for those two were bananas. So it's not like Bo Nix is completely out of this thing, but it certainly doesn't help things to have a loss here.
Yeah. I think but I do think the loss knocked Caleb Williams out.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah, he was
plus 260 to win the Heisman, and this morning he is 22-1. So
yeah, watching that game, I was like, I think they'll use this to be like, nope, he's not going to be the two. I mean, they were talking about it in the game. I was like, they're going to take this. I mean, unless like he came back at the end and 5 touchdowns in 3 minutes or something like that,
it was just bad. It was bad.
Yeah,
but we'll get there. We'll get there. Let me tell you the first guy that I have on my list today, and I did not get a good pronunciation of his name because I did not go back and listen to highlights because I watched the game on mute on Friday night. But that was Stanford wide receiver Alec Ayomanor, whatever, the wide receiver that caught 13 passes for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns against Colorado, and did a good bit of that work against Travis Hunter, who was absolutely worked in that game. He was tired, and you could tell it. For him to come back that quick after, what was it, a liver injury?
Yes.
Like, that seemed, and the game, of course, Colorado plays in altitude. Why would you play him that much in that game? That did not make any sense to me. So, yeah, it's one thing to have Travis Hunter out there. It's something else to have like a healthy body out there.
And he took another hard shot too.
Absurd.
He took but
I don't want to make excuse. Like, I don't want to spend too much time on Travis Hunter. This kid was awesome. That catch that he made in that second overtime, where he reached behind him and grabbed the ball. I had memories of Tyrone Prothro.
Yes, I was about to say. I was like, he's going to talk about Prothro.
Oh yes,
that catch.
Oh yeah.
How many pictures do you have of him with that catch?
I've only got one.
Okay.
So it's at my office, but it's there.
I love that.
I also have the 2006 2005 Rocky stop. Right, the one where Tennessee's going into the end zone to win the game, and Roman Harper gets that hit on, or helmet on the hat, or hat on the ball, whatever you call it. I've got that one printed out.
If you go to Alabama, you just need to do one play, and you are a celebrity, famous for the rest of your life. You will have
got to be a big one though.
It has to be a big one. I like the guy 77 that stopped Penn State in that national championship game. Dude wrote a book.
Oh yeah,
on about one play.
It 100%. I've got it's on my dad. There's and I cannot remember. It doesn't have the thing on it. There's a company that prints out like the chalk plays from like big moments in games or whatever. I'll have to go back and find it. But these guys are fantastic, and I got one for my dad because they sell you the print and the frame to go with it and all that kind of stuff. But I got one for my dad of that Alabama Penn State 78 Sugar Bowl or 79 Sugar, whatever it was. Yeah, at one of his prized possessions. So, but that's the truth. You get one play at Alabama, and there you go. But for Stanford, that was a 29-0 at the half. And come back and win the game 46-43. If you're Colorado, you got to be pretty upset about this.
Yes.
Did you have another one for your Heisman guys?
I was thinking Penix. Now I will say one thing. I'm going to try to do this, and I'm going to buckle down and do it. I'm going to try to find the top offensive lineman.
Oh, I like this.
For the week, because when an offensive lineman wins the Heisman, that's when it really means something. We really need to push that because, again, Orlando Pace was a 98, 97 or so.
I think he was like 95 or 96.
Yeah. Okay. A little earlier. Okay. It's like we got to find an offensive lineman that we really got to try to push every year to like.
I could see this. For those that don't know, Huey played offensive line.
Yeah.
Of course, we got to push the offensive line. But I'm a fan of that. I like that idea. The other guy, of course, I mean, I went back to the quarterback route, but I like your thinking on the offensive line. TCU quarterback, freshman quarterback Josh Hoover against BYU yesterday. Again, I said it on the Winning Cures Everything pick show last week that the TCU BYU line made 0 sense. With TCU with a backup quarterback and all of the numbers from the season already would have had BYU favored in that game, and somehow TCU was favored by a touchdown. It made no sense. So, of course, the line stank, and you got to go TCU here. And they demolished BYU. 44-11, I think is what the final was. Josh Hoover is the kid's name. Backup quarterback. I think he was third string at one point. This kid, 37 out of 58, 439 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions. But they let him throw that ball 58 times, like as a backup. Obviously, they trust the kid. Why has he not been playing all year? Like, he was significantly better than Chandler Morris has been. So I think this may be his job to lose, because like he destroyed BYU. 439 in the air, 4 touchdowns, 37 out of 58. Not bad. Not bad for your first start. So I will give another weekly Heisman to Mr. Josh Hoover on that one. You ready to hop into CFP?
Oh yeah.
Top 4. So there's only 8 undefeated teams left right now. We're getting into week 8, and there's only 8 undefeated teams. So let's go on and write down the times, of course. Let me go on and tell you mine. So I moved Michigan up to number 1. I don't care that they haven't played anybody. They have destroyed everybody that they have played. They were
a little slow with Indiana.
A little slow at the beginning.
In the beginning.
But
and
my God, you can go down 7-0 if you come back and hang 52 on the board. I think it's perfectly fine in that instance. They look incredible right now. Absolutely incredible. Who do you have for number 1 right now?
I'm keeping Georgia.
Keeping Georgia.
Right there.
Man, I dropped Georgia completely out of my top 4. I know Georgia fans are not going to be happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of worried about Bowers right now because he was a big weapon for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the ankle injury is a big deal.
And that he's going to be limited in that. And
did you see the play?
I did. When he rolled up on it and I was like, okay, he didn't break it. It didn't look his leg, and he got up and walked. But I was like, that's an ankle. That's an ankle right there. And you're going to lose what this thing is. It's called proprioception. So it's kind of like your awareness in space. Okay. So when you have an injury, you kind of can lose some of that. So, he's probably going to be pretty limited. I mean, I'm going to question if he plays next week. And
so they got a bye week coming up because they've got Florida the week after that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think so 2 weeks looks like he's going to come, he could possibly come back. You're going to do some rehab. You're going to come back. But I mean, he's probably going to be pretty limited in it. He probably won't be able to cut as hard.
Would that be one of those? Is that an injury that is he going to hurt it worse by playing? No. Or would it be better for him to like sit out an additional week and maybe miss the Florida game so that he's prepped up and ready to go for the end of the season?
So there's this talk about, so when Beckham tore his ACL, same side that he injured an ankle on. And so people speculated and said like, well, you lose this thing called proprioception. And so like your awareness, and it's like, hey, kind of crazy that he injured that same side with an ACL. But of course, football, you can have a freak injury. You land, somebody hits you, something like that. So, I mean, really the thing is probably, it's good to get a week off in it. And I mean, if as long like he'll probably suck it up and be pretty, he probably won't be like spectacular or anything like that. But I mean, you get to this point, he's probably just going to just will it through the end. But I don't think it'll get worse. I don't think it'll get worse. I mean, he may not be, he probably won't have the cutting ability and the juking a bit, like the speed. He may not have that.
I mean, maybe you bring him out just as a decoy.
Yeah.
And that's a possibility. Just don't ask him to do anything too crazy.
Yeah, you don't carry the team. Don't do I mean, if he's open hitting him or just like he's just going to pull the defense over to here. Yeah.
Totally possible. Okay. Very interesting. So you got Georgia 1, I got Michigan 1. Number 2, I've got Florida State still. I think the wins matter. I know that some of these games they've gotten out to slow starts, but they just destroyed Syracuse 41-3 yesterday. Yeah, I still like Florida State. I think they could kind of, I don't want to say they could sleepwalk, but they wouldn't have to play their top game until they get to the ACC championship game. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. Is that who have you got number 2?
I got Michigan.
Michigan 2. Okay. I'm going to write all of yours down so that I can keep up with, with what's going on. All right, Michigan 2 makes sense. I mean, that's my number 1. So number 3 for me, I got Oklahoma up there. I think the win over Texas is impressive. Oklahoma was off this week, so is what it is. But who do you have in at number 3?
So I got Florida State. They look really, really good. I mean,
we're in the same order right now. It's just you've got Georgia at 1.
Just Now I have a thing about Oklahoma right now. I got them outside of the top 4, but I feel like they are a team through some way, somehow will, by either other teams losing, will just inch their way up. Yes. I just think that they would just work their way up. Got a pretty good schedule. I just, when I see it, I'm like,
that Oklahoma schedule is nothing.
Yeah. So, that's how I feel. Like they have a very good manageable schedule. If they keep playing well and other things happen, they will just work their way up. So
makes sense.
I just feel like that's going to happen with them.
All right. And then my number 4 team, I have got Washington.
Yep.
Is that how you got it at number 4 now?
I have Washington 4. I want Washington there. I want them in the top 4, but I hope that it's just not a letdown after this game.
Both of these teams have, you know what? Let's go on and get, here are the remaining teams that are undefeated. We'll go on through that. Ohio State, Penn State, and North Carolina did not make either of our top 4s, and they are the only undefeated teams that are left right now. So Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington for Huey. I've got Michigan, Florida State, Oklahoma, Washington. And then, of course, you got Ohio State, Penn State, and North Carolina that are just kind of.
I like North Carolina. I like them, but I watched them last night, and I was like, oh, I don't think they're.
There's still holes in their defense for sure, and there's LFG jumping in. He said, "I like it." He said, "I did. I like it." Yeah, I do. We've got people in the BetUS show that are wanting to make Gary shirts that just say "I like it," because that's apparently my catchphrase. You know how sometimes you come into phrases, things that you say all the time that you don't realize that you're saying. Apparently, "I like it" has been my thing. We'll figure it out. I'm certain, but
it's always good that other people recognize it. You need other people to recognize it, because if you try to come up with your own, it's horrible.
Oh yeah,
let other people recognize.
It's dumb. It's very, very dumb. Very dumb. All right, now that we're 19 minutes into this thing, let's go on and talk about some of the games, and we will start off here with Washington and Oregon. And good gracious, here, change that around and toss this on the screen. 36-33, Washington gets the win over the Oregon Ducks, and it really looked like Oregon was going to get this win. And man, the end of this game felt exactly like last season. Oregon goes for it on 4th down. They don't get it. They give Washington the ball back. Washington comes back down the field because Michael Penix is a wizard in the pocket. 22 out of 37 for Penix, 302 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dylan Johnson, Mississippi State transfer, does big things running the ball. Of course, their starting running back is out for the rest of the, whatever. They're out for a long time. So Dylan Johnson, 20 carries, 100 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. So Washington did have a bit of a running game. That was good. On the other side, Bo Nix, Huey, you brought him up. 33 out of 44, 337, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Had a clean game. And, Bucky Irving, 22 carries, 127 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. James Jordan, 11 carries, 63 yards rushing with 1 touchdown. And Bo Nix, 7 attempts for 14 yards. If you look at the stats on the screen, outgained Washington by nearly 130 yards. The majority of it was rushing yards. They had an awesome time rushing the ball. The problem that you see, of course, Oregon 10 out of 16 on third down. Washington was 5 of 11. The fourth downs, 0 of 3 on fourth down. The issue here, 84 plays to 61. That's wild. It was definitely crazy. Oregon, it kind of felt like should have won the game, and they didn't capitalize on it. So when you go 3 of 5 in the red zone, as opposed to 3 of 4, when you go 0 of 3 on fourth down, and it costs you multiple drives and points, that's an issue. The fourth down decisions. Do we agree with Lanning going for fourth down? So the 2 big ones to me were the end of the first half. Obviously, could have kicked a field goal there very easily. I think you left points off the board. And the one at the end of the game with however many minutes left it was, where you gave Washington the ball back with 50 some odd yards to go, as opposed to kicking it deep and making them go 80 when they had not done very well in the second half at all, aside from that opening drive of the second or third quarter. So what do you think about the fourth down decisions here?
I think that first one, you just gotta get the points. This is going to be a fight. Just get your points.
I think going for it on fourth down when you are that close to the end zone, I think, there's something to be said for being aggressive and understanding, hey, I'm going to need points to win this game. So are we going to get this close again? The other side of it is, I think when you're that close to the end zone, it makes more sense to go for it when there's actually time left. Because, if your defense has been playing really, really well, that flips field position, but it doesn't matter when there's 3 seconds left because you're not going to get the ball back from that. So the field position aspect of it doesn't matter. Leaving the field goal off the board, I think, was a really, really big mistake, especially in a game where you lose by 3 points, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, the one in the second half, what do you think about this one? I don't think I have a problem with him going for it.
No, I could really see as well. Like you said, this is a big game. They're going to, it's 2 heavyweights just duking it out. This is going to be a battle. And it's not like you're trying to sneak and just, get trick plays and stuff like that. We got to go for it, but they're both going to be amped up for it. And any other time they may have gotten it.
Yes.
But really, I would have felt like early on, just get your points. We know this could go, just get points. But then later, they're going to have to go down the field quite a way or what?
I think there is something about the idea of making Washington go the length of the field.
Yeah.
To score a touchdown to beat you. But also, that they are fully capable of doing that. We saw the stats. Rome Odunze, 8 receptions, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Polk, 118 yards receiving on 6 catches for 1 touchdown. You had Giles Jackson, 58 yards receiving. They got weapons. They got weapons. But you've also got weapons. Troy Franklin, 8 catches, 154 yards and a touchdown. Tez Johnson, 7 receptions, 71 yards. Bucky Irving caught 6 for 34. They got dudes. So fourth down, short, you got a chance to keep the football completely away from them. I kind of get that too. And if you've been aggressive, then why not continue to be aggressive?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of, I don't think I have an issue with that one.
And then in the first half, if you get the points, do you change their game plan for the second half? Because it's a little closer game. So maybe if we do get these 3 points, okay, I mean, what was it? It's 18 to 22. So 21-22. Does that possibly change their game plan when they come back out in the second half?
Or in that position where you're only up by 4.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah. So does it possibly change up what they're going to come out and do? I mean, hindsight's 20/20 on this stuff as always.
Yes. But it changes. It changes a lot. And as you can see, I mean, this game was back and forth.
Yeah.
Back and forth, back and forth. And home field advantage ultimately won out. That's the way it goes. But man, you see the expected points on the screen here. Just wild for Oregon. Plus 24.89. Like that's huge. EPA per play, 91st percentile for Oregon, 90th for Washington. These were two incredibly good offenses. Neither of the defenses were good on run stuff and whatnot, but like not great. The purple isn't good by any stretch of the imagination. Oregon was not great in the red zone. That sucks. 36% success rate in the red zone. Washington 57th or 57 percentile. That's 78th. Like this was a wild ball game that it really, man, it felt like Oregon was the better football team.
Oh, it did.
But hey, I mean, Washington was at home, and sometimes them's the breaks. That's the way it goes.
And so it's good that this game didn't disappoint either.
Oh yes, God, it lived up to the hype. It was so good. It felt like every moment was just tense. Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
And I mean, if they had hit that field goal at the end, I was like, that would have just been perfect. Of course, this game's going to go to an overtime, and we're going to
get more football. We'll move along. We'll head over to an Independent. We're going to South Bend on this one, and we'll pull it up on the screen so you can see it. Although I don't know how much we need to spend on this because I mean, my God, it was a blowout. I mean,
yes,
it was 24-6 at the half.
Oh,
Notre Dame 48, Southern Cal 20. This was just brutal. And USC did the one thing that you couldn't do for Notre Dame's offense, right? And that is you gave them short fields because they got a touchdown, 3 plays, 12 yards. They got a field goal, 8 plays, 46 yards. A touchdown, 1 play, 2 yards. Touchdown, 5 plays, 50 yards. This one is the longest drive of the game for them, 6 plays, 68 yards. And then they got another field goal on a 4-play, 9-yard. Like it had a kick return, it had all kind of stuff. You see the drives for USC over here on the left?
Oh.
Interception, punt, field goal, downs, interception, field goal, punt, touchdown in the third quarter, punt, touchdown, and then downs, fumble. It's going to kill you every time.
Yeah, USC just did not look like that top 5 team.
Do you see the defensive points off turnover?
Oh,
it's the difference in the game.
It was
28 points.
It was ridiculous just watching, like, holy cow. I swear Notre Dame must have had this game circled all year. Like, no matter what, we're going to come out, and they were ready. And Notre Dame looked like a top 5 team. Like it.
I do wonder if that was because of how bad they looked last week.
Yeah.
Or they got to come home, or the fact that they were playing weaker competition.
Yeah, I was,
which is weird.
I was like, this is the same team that lost to Louisville last week and didn't look this good, and now they're coming out smoking USC.
I mean, it's just it was a beating, and USC actually outgained them. Like that's the crazy thing. Notre Dame put up 48 points here. They only ran 49 plays, so they basically scored about a point a play. They only had 251 yards of total offense. USC gave them the ball game.
Yeah, they just kept.
It's bad.
Yeah, interceptions, fumbles. Stuff. It's like, holy cow.
Caleb Williams was 23 out of 37 for 199 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. The rushing guys, Marshawn Lloyd from the South Carolina transfer, 8 for 46. He had a long of 31. Aaron Jones, 11 attempts for 27 yards. So they ran the ball 37 times. So perfect balance, I guess you could say, between 37 passes and 37 rushes. But, man, Audric Estime was able to find his groove, 22 carries, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sam Hartman didn't have to do much. 13 out of 20 passing, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sure. Why not? I mean, there's not a lot to say about this. Like USC, I feel something is wrong with USC. To me, the body language is off. They don't look great. And like they don't look like they enjoy playing with each other.
Yeah, they didn't have that that cockiness and swagger that USC they expect out of USC.
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. It was just like, can we just get through this? And let me tell you, it's not like it gets easier.
No.
Because they host Utah this week. And Utah may not be the Utah that's like Pac-12 champion, whatever Utah. But boy, that defense is still nasty. It don't matter who they could have third stringers out there, and they are going to come for your head.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Kyle Whittingham teams are notorious for just wanting to beat you up, and they got that coming in a week after Notre Dame just kind of walloped them. I don't know what to make of this. Like somebody in the chat did say USC is going to have at least 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah,
and Packer 9-10. USC going to catch 3 or 4 more L's. Yeah.
I kind of had that feeling all season about USC. I'm like, they're good. They're going to fumble it up somehow. This could be the thing that they just kind of just fall off.
Yeah, it's totally possible. It's totally possible. That was rough. The here, we'll pull it up on the screen. I hope it loads up pretty easy. There we go. The win probability never changed. Never changed. It went to USC for a little bit on like play number 4 in the game. And then all of a sudden it's all the way up here for the rest of the ball game. It was by the end of the game, USC by play number 73, they were negative 26.77 EPA. I mean, it's brutal, just brutal. So we don't have to spend too much more time on that. Why on earth would we talk about a 2-loss Notre Dame team and a team in USC that obviously just does not care? We'll say that. So let's talk about a bunch that did care yesterday, and that would be the Tennessee Volunteers, a 20-13 win over Texas A&M inside Neyland Stadium. They looked pretty good. Josh Heupel and this team run differently this year than they have in other seasons because this A&M defense is ripe for the picking, my brother. You saw it against Alabama. You saw it against Miami. But Tennessee has a quarterback that cannot hit open receivers. He just can't do it. And let me tell you, we're going to pull this up on the screen. There is one, let me complain about Tennessee only giving the statbroadcast.com stuff to credentialed media members that are going to the game. I use Stat Broadcast every week, and Tennessee is one of the only ones that requires a passcode from credentialed media to be able to access it. It's so infuriating.
I think it's because they know who you cheer for.
That must be it. It's very frustrating. But either way, Joe Milton cannot hit an open receiver to save his life. and let me tell you, I listened to a lot of this yesterday because obviously I've got a newborn at the house. I got a 5-year-old. There's a bunch of moving parts around here. So for me to be able to keep up with stuff, I got to be able to listen. If I want to catch up in real time, I have a Bluetooth that I keep in my ear basically all day on Saturdays. And I listen to the Varsity Network. And they do this thing called the College Football Blitz. And there is nothing funnier than listening to the Tennessee play-by-play guys. It's Bob Kessling and I forget the other guy's name. But listening to them try and figure out Jimbo Fisher time management at the end of quarters or at the end of halves or whatever, that is the most ridiculous sounding thing I've ever heard because they are just flummoxed as to why you wouldn't want to take an opportunity to go and get more points. At the end of the first half, Texas A&M had a chance to call a timeout and save like a minute 15 on the clock to be able to get the ball back and go do something with the ball. A&M was already up 10-7. And it's like, I know these guys have been watching football for 40 plus years. I mean, these guys have been watching forever. But they are so accustomed to Josh Heupel and other, fast-paced offenses that want to take every opportunity that they have. And Jimbo Fisher is just, we got a lead. We're going to kneel it out. We're not going to take any risks. We ain't giving y'all an opportunity to do that. And it's an old school mentality. But they were so confused at what Jimbo was doing at the end of the first half. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Joe Milton, my friend, 11 of 22 passing, 100 yards. That's only 4.5 yards per attempt. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And that 1 interception was in the end zone. I don't know if you caught that, but Tennessee had a chance to kind of put the game away and threw a pick. And this was in the fourth quarter. So just is what it is. Jalen Wright and Jabari Small are fantastic running backs for Tennessee. You can see on the screen here, 19 carries, 136 yards for Wright. Jabari Small had 12 for 42. But and Joe Milton had some runs too, 8 rushes, 34 yards. Good design stuff and some scramble stuff. Jalen Wright, the zone stuff that they do is really awesome. Like, he is such a patient runner. He lets the entire defense get going one way, and then he'll hit a hole, and he's got all this running room. It was fantastic what he did. I mean, 136 yards on 19 carries, and your long is only 23. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So A&M, I thought A&M had the better football players. That's what it looked like. They seemed like they had the more talent, and it seemed like A&M, I guess, didn't have the quarterback or the coaches. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Max Johnson had 2 interceptions. He was 16-34, 223, no touchdowns. He did have the only A&M touchdown. It was a run, but okay. What were your thoughts on this one? I don't know what to think about these two teams.
I don't either. I mean, watching it, like, I feel like Tennessee should have been beat them worse. And again, A&M sometimes you just don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's
flummoxing. Right?
I'll say one thing I love is, like, when the defensive back like jumps the route so well, and he's sitting there just like, and like he's just standing flat-footed, just looking at the ball. For some reason, I just love those picks. Like, he's just standing, and it's like, dang, there is like no one 5 yards around him, just catches it. I'm like, okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And it
was wild.
Yeah. And with Fisher, I know the next game we're talking about with Arkansas, but like the whole thing with Fisher earlier this year, like, you're not like wanting to keep your job, like, really, like, let's come out and show that.
Hey, there's some of this that makes me think that he is totally fine with, hey, we're going to win just enough to not make me look too bad, and we're going to lose really close games, but I'm going to lose enough to where I get this buyout so I don't have to come in here and do this crap anymore.
Yeah, that's what it's like. You're not fighting for your job, and it's like,
yes, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. I know Bobby Petrino has got to be just losing his mind. It just got to be losing his mind. The pass protection for Texas A&M is terrible. Oh, yeah. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Tennessee has got some really good guys that know how to rush the passer, right? That's 2 straight games that A&M's gone up against pretty good defenses that really know how to get after the quarterback. But, man, this was just a weird overall ball game. It was cloudy and kind of nasty October weather. Like, normally, I'll tell you, I've been up there for ball games in October, and it is beautiful. But, man, it was just overcast and felt weird, and everything about that game was just strange. That solar eclipse, I think did some really weird things across the country yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that was during the eclipse. We got it pretty good here in Texas. We got it was like
a 60% in Memphis.
Yeah.
And Knoxville didn't get like a crazy one, but still across the country, I'm going to blame anything that happened that was weird on the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
It was kind of weird to look at. It's like, oh man, it just looks really weird out here. Like
It felt like mid-afternoon at like 11, whatever
It,
a.m.
that was just
strange.
weird. It's like, man, somebody closed the blinds up a little bit out here.
Total yards here, Tennessee 332, A&M 277. A&M and Tennessee both were 0 of 2 on fourth down. Texas A&M was only 5 of 15 on third, and Tennessee was 7 of 15 on third down. 2 turnovers for A&M. Those were late, and Tennessee had the one that was the one going into the end zone. It is what it is. Like this was a pretty tight ball game, and felt like coaching and maybe a little bit of home field made the difference. So, is what it is on that one. Last one that we'll talk about, and we don't have to spend long on this because we do want to get to the recaps. Not the recaps, but the rapid fire stuff, because I want to spend a little more time on some of these other games that happened. Alabama 24, Arkansas 21. And no, we're not going to talk about Alabama every week, but this was one of the games that actually went down to the wire. Let's pull it up on the screen so you guys can see. KJ Jefferson, 14 out of 24, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball 14 times for 26 yards. Jalen Milroe for Alabama. He's 10 of 21, 238, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's ridiculous numbers when you only complete 10 passes, but you have 238 yards. I mean, that's stupid. It's the dink and bomb offense still. And there was a stat by ESPN yesterday that said Jalen Milroe is the first quarterback to have 4 sacks in 5 straight games in history. That's pretty crazy. You can't blame it all on the offensive line. Because I think some of this is him sitting in the backfield too long. Just doing it. Matt, I get so frustrated with this Alabama team. I had to wear the shirt today because I don't know that I'm going to get a chance to wear it again because this team may not win another ball game. They are so ridiculously undisciplined. This team got in the victory formation yesterday and had a false start by the running back in the victory formation. Like, I don't know how you do that. I do know you can either blame the running back, Jace McClellan, or you could blame the quarterback for not making sure that everybody's set before he snaps the ball. There's all kinds of things you could do there. Milroe started 7 of 8 passing and then went 1 of his next 11. So that was definitely not great, and it allowed Arkansas to get back into the ballgame. Did you see the play where KJ Jefferson is standing in the pocket and Alabama sends Terrion Arnold, the cornerback, on a blitz, and Terrion Arnold hits this man straight up, and KJ Jefferson doesn't go down. It's almost like the cornerback hit a brick wall when he went, and he did not get the guy down, and it turned into like a 30-yard gain for Arkansas because Arnold came in and hit him and just kind of bounced off of him, and Jefferson just looks out and throws over to the right side of the field and finds a guy that's open for 20, 30, whatever yards that gets him down. Why would you bring 180-pound soaking wet cornerback on a blitz against a 250-pound quarterback? I mean, the guy's a tank back there.
Yes. I saw that. I'm like, dang, like the quarterback just threw him off. Didn't he do that a couple times?
Yeah, you can't blame the cornerback for that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And there was a couple times, didn't they have him wrapped up and he got out of it?
Yes.
It was getting like
every game. I mean, he's 250 pounds. That guy's insane. So, yes, this was Alabama favored by 19.5 here was absurd. Absolutely absurd. Because of sandwich spot, right? Alabama's got Tennessee next week. I think they were in the second half trying to go vanilla with the offense, but the issue is that they showed, they can run the ball when they want to, and then they went away from it, and they started trying to get Milroe to throw the ball, and I mean, sometimes he got it, sometimes he don't. So very frustrating team. But man, that Alabama Tennessee game next week is going to be weird to watch.
Yeah, that is. I'm kind of looking forward to that one. I'm like, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't know what team I would trust there. I have no idea. Arkansas was up 6-0 in the first quarter, and then Alabama just completely took over with the deep pass. Nye Black caught one, Kobe Prentice caught one. Just they don't do the easy things, well, the basic things well. And so for everybody that is talking about Alabama, they can still go to the SEC championship game and they can still do da-da-da-da. It's like, okay, they still have to play at Auburn, which, yes, I admit is not good, but they still have to play LSU. They still have to play Tennessee. Like, this team is just so incredibly undisciplined. And it's really frustrating as a fan of the team. This may be the last time you see me wear this shirt. So I got to make sure that I got it on the show today. So did you have a feeling on this game? Like what were your thoughts when you saw, all right, Alabama's up 24-6 and then, Alabama's up 24-21 in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. That, like early on, like, okay, why is Arkansas like up first off? Like, okay, I understand Sam Pittman is kind of on the hot seat. We're going to play harder. Okay. Then Alabama goes back up. Okay. They decide to wake up. And then, whoa. Arkansas fighting back. Like, oh, they're not giving up. And it felt like Alabama just kind of, we're just going to put on cruise.
Took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, we're the better team. Like, Arkansas was fighting.
I mean, they took their foot off the gas early, too.
Yes, they did. Way too early.
Like, you get up 24 points, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess we're done here. It's like, no. Look at that. Three and out. And it led to the crazy part. I told you about penalties and how undisciplined this team is. I mean, that face mask that led to the first touchdown there for Arkansas should have never happened. It was on third down. The drive was done other than the face mask, and Arkansas capitalized on it. And then they come out and they take the next drive down the field, and you can't stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty irritating. So when it came down to it, at the end of the ball game, Alabama had 9 plays for 28 yards and, took all the air out of the ball. So we're able to get the win just by keeping the football. And that was good. That was good, I guess. But man, if you are an Alabama fan, you are incredibly frustrated right now.
Yeah, that just wasn't this lining up and just destroying the team across. Right?
No. There was no domination there.
No.
There was none of that. Just irritating. Very irritating. All right. You ready to move into rapid fire?
Oh, let's go.
Let's go. We'll pull up on the screen. We'll move to the SEC. And Georgia, 37, Vandy, 20. Of course, we talked about Brock Bowers going out in this game, but that does not excuse Georgia's just lackadaisical, don't give a crap about anything play. Vandy scored first in this game and stayed in it. And in the fourth quarter, put 2 touchdowns on the board, had a chance here. I mean, it was 30-20 with like 8 minutes left in this ball game. There was a chance that Vandy could have come in, and this Vanderbilt team is not good. They are so not good. And Georgia just didn't, I cannot explain this Georgia team. They had that one massive night game against Kentucky, who turns out might be a little fraudulent themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, Georgia is 7-0, and I don't think they have played a competent team yet. What did you think about this one?
Yeah, I was kind of watching that one like, are they just playing? Are they just playing around? Not taking it serious? We're number one.
I know they got Florida in 2 weeks, but that's still.
But like, put Vanderbilt away. Like that's another game that when you play, there's always a team that you're like, okay, this is the team we know we're just going to go in there and stomp. We're going to get to play our second and third stringers. Like you look forward to that like mid-season game. And some teams look at Vanderbilt like that. like, we're going to go out. We're just going to smoke them.
Do you think, so I like to compare teams to like prior teams, right? So for me, example, Wyoming this year is 2021 Northern Illinois, a team that has no business winning games or staying in games with the numbers that they put up, but like crazy, ridiculous things happen. This Georgia team feels very much like Jameis Winston's second team, the year after, like I think it was 2014.
Oh,
so the
yeah.
year after they won the national title, where they were supposed to beat everybody by a bajillion, and they never did. Every game had to come back or just kind of played around with them, didn't do what they were supposed to do until late in the game. And they were undefeated in the regular season, but every game was a struggle.
Yeah.
Like that's what this Georgia game or Georgia team feels like.
I'd agree with that.
It's like they don't get off to fast starts. They make crazy mistakes that they definitely shouldn't. It's just weird. All right, we've spent enough time on Georgia. LSU 48-18 against Auburn. This LSU offense is ridiculous. Daniels 325 passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Logan Diggs 18 carries, 97 yards. I mean, LSU did what they were supposed to do against a Hugh Freeze team without a quarterback, because that Auburn team is bad. Did you get eyes on that one? Was there anything out of that one that you felt like needed to be discussed?
No, it was on one of the screens and watching. I'm like, man, they're sticking it to it. So
no sense in spending too much time there.
Yeah,
Missouri. Let's
Ooh.
talk Missouri. 38-21 in Lexington at night. Only the second win in the last 9 seasons over Kentucky.
What are they?
Kentucky went up 14-0 in this game. Like I can't figure out, to save my life, what happened, because I was watching it, but I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. I'm trying to zoom it in. I got to figure out how to do this on this screen so that people can see it better. But 38-21, Brady Cook only 167 yards passing. Ray Davis for Kentucky 20 carries, 128 yards. Missouri put up 18 points in the fourth quarter. Like, just insane.
You think Missouri's going to be ranked this week?
They should be. I mean, they were last week, and then they lose a heartbreaker to LSU, and I would imagine they're probably going to be ranked. And I bet the rankings are out. We can go on and pull that up right quick. CFP, AP, whatever. We'll just pull it up on the screen. We'll just see what we can. Of course. Site can't be reached. There we go. Okay, we got new ones. And Washington is up to 5. Penn State 6, Oklahoma 7, Texas 8, Texas and Alabama are tied. Well, Texas and Alabama both tied at number 8. North Carolina, who is undefeated, is behind both of those. Oregon back at 11. Let's see. Missouri all the way up to 20. Louisville dropped to 21. Air Force is in this week. Air Force and Tulane. I can get down with that.
Wow.
All right, so Utah and USC. Let's see. That's 16 and there we go. 16 and 14. And then Alabama, Tennessee is 8 and 15. Yeah. So Missouri in at number 20. I can get down with that. Iowa is ranked. Well, now that's something. Did you watch Florida and South Carolina yesterday?
I was just kind of keeping up with the highlights on that one.
I thought that was the game of the day. And that was just back and forth. Florida ends up winning 41-39. At one point, South Carolina, Spencer Rattler started out like 10 of 10 passing, and for like 145 yards, had 3 touchdowns, and the game had 2 touchdowns, and the game was still tied 21-21. Like 10 of 10 passing for 145 and 2 touchdowns, and was still tied in the game because the defense was so bad. Graham Mertz, the Wisconsin transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has talked trash about that kid, but he had 423 yards passing and 3 touchdowns in this game. He is coming into his own in Gainesville. They have figured out how to use that kid. Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver for Florida, the guy that came over from Arizona State a couple of years ago, 10 receptions, 166 with a touchdown. Just awesome route runner. Like it was that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to watch. Perfect game to go back and watch key plays on because it was just haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. So that one was a lot of fun. A lot of fun on that. Did you so you just got some of the highlights? Was there anybody that stood out to you in that one?
Nah, I was just watching it back and forth, and Spencer Rattler was kind of impressive to watch, but it's like, why South Carolina? Like how different would a team be if it wasn't South Carolina? I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I think they had the wrong offensive coordinator last year. Personally, let's see. Well, let's move to the Big Ten. Michigan 52-7 over Indiana. Not much to discuss there. I mean, they are just steamrolling everybody. Ohio State. I don't know how much that said about Ohio State, or if it just means that Purdue is really, really bad. And I think it's a kind of a combination of both. Like I think Ohio State's just all right. We're going to see more about them against Penn State this week.
Oh yeah.
Which, speaking of Penn State, 63-0 over UMass. That was, I mean, good gracious. Nick Singleton had 15 carries for 79 yards, and Drew Aller had 162 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Didn't have to do anything to put up 63 points on this team. Rutgers came back against Michigan State and won that game 27-24. Rutgers now has 5 wins on the season. They are 5-2. And Michigan State still winless in the Big Ten, 2-4 so far on the season. But yeah, Rutgers looked like they were doing Rutgers things early. They were down 17-6 at the half. And yeah, 24-6 in the second half. They put up 21 points in the fourth quarter there. Not too shabby. Illinois upsets Maryland. Of course, Maryland goes and hangs in with Ohio State for a while last week. They were undefeated before going to Columbus. And Illinois looked like maybe one of the worst Power 5 teams in the entire country. And of course, it would make perfect sense that Illinois find a way to win in College Park.
I was surprised by that one.
Just goofy stuff happens in the sport, man. Like stuff that is so inexplainable. Like there's no number that you could, and there's no way that you could have come up with Illinois winning that game other than, well, I mean, it's Mike Locksley. Like, Mike Locksley at Maryland, like they throw up stinkers every now and then. Like, that's it. That's the only thing you can come up with. Just frustrating. Iowa, I mean, we got to talk about our boy here. Held Wisconsin to 6 points in Madison. 15-6 here. And this Iowa team may end up 11-1 this year and go into the Big Ten title game, even though they cannot score to save their lives. This is just the most absurd. And I don't know if anybody that even wants to hear about this. Like, I know we're wasting time on the podcast with it, but this schedule, they've got Minnesota left, who, of course, they could outdo Minnesota. Like, they could lose to any of these teams, but it is far more likely, knowing Kirk Ferentz's track record, that they will beat Minnesota at home. They will beat Northwestern at home. They will beat Rutgers at home. They will beat Illinois at home. And then they play at Nebraska, who will absolutely give them the ball game. Like, is there any team on there that scares you if you're Iowa?
I can't see any. I mean, just.
It's absurd.
Iowa, again, my rant against Iowa, like, they do well through just, I don't know how. Like, they do get some players. I will say they do get some good players there.
It's Phil Parker. It's the defense. The defense is the defense and special teams.
Yeah. And they get some, at times, favorable outcomes of stuff. And it's like,
this is like the extreme right-wing version of Beamer ball is what this is.
And
it's like, we're going to go no offense. We're going to see if we can lose yards on every play and still win a ball game. And then somehow they find a way to do it. Oh my God, my watch is.
But they'll do that. And so they'll have this great year. This is what happens. They have this great year. Next year, they'll be ranked like 12 and they'll go into the toilet for some reason. So Iowa does best when the expectations are low. So what it always seems like to me, They do the best when the expectations are low.
Yes. Yes. Very frustrating. M. Goboski said Iowa could be one game away in the Big Ten championship from being a playoff team. Yeah, the issue is that one game is going to be against Penn State, who they've already lost 31-0 against, or Michigan, or Ohio State. They ain't beaten either one of those teams. But,
yeah,
I mean, next year we start the 12-team playoff, and hey, who doesn't need an 11-2 Big Ten runner-up Iowa making it into a 12-team playoff? Because that is surely what is going to happen. Let's move to the Pac-12, and we'll try and run through these pretty quick because there was some interesting stuff that went on in the Pac-12. Let's see, UCLA and Oregon State. I know was crazy. We talked a little bit about Stanford and Colorado. I don't know that we need to go too much further on that, but Ashton Daniels, the quarterback for Stanford, was awesome. Shedeur Sanders in this game, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Couldn't make the plays when it mattered. UCLA and Oregon State is what I just brought up. The Beavers 36-24, and they made that. I'm telling you, man, these road games for these Pac-12 teams. Dante Moore, the quarterback for UCLA, it just looked like a deer in headlights in this game. And now it was rainy. I heard on the radio, by the way, Varsity Network, I heard that this was the first road game the UCLA had played in the rain since 2016. That is insane to me. It's like it never rains out there.
It doesn't. When I went to grad school in California, my first semester, I never went to class on a day it rained. It never rained the first semester on a day I had class. And then when it did rain, it rained for a week straight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I think that the rain might have had something to do with this because it's like UCLA had never seen it before.
Yeah.
And they get down 23-10 at the half. And that's basically it. I mean, they lose 36-24. DJ Uiagalelei against that UCLA defense, which is actually legit, did pretty good. 266 yards, 2 touchdowns. Carson Steele, I mean, they only ran Carson Steele, I think, 5 times in the first half, and they gave him 17 carries in the second half. By that point, it was too late. It's like, yeah, quit going with the quarterback here. Arizona, 44-6 over Washington State. Yeah. The Cam Ward hype train is over. It has derailed. When you only put up 6 points on Arizona, that's a bit of an issue. Now, we'll tell you this. One, Noah Fafita, the quarterback for Arizona, is really, really good. He's the guy that came in and took over for Jaden DeLaura. The other part of this is Washington State has like a ton of guys out. And my numbers said to take Washington State. But with all the injuries that they had, you just didn't know what to do with it. And this was a cavalcade of mistakes for Washington State. So I don't think 44-6 is really indicative of exactly what happened here, but 44-6 is 44-6. I mean, they got their brains beat in here.
I'm surprised. This is the Arizona team that lost to Mississippi State in overtime. Yes. And it's like,
and should have won the damn USC game.
Yeah. And I'm thinking again, I'm a Mississippi State fan. Mississippi State couldn't beat Washington State, definitely couldn't beat USC, and Arizona was. How did you get that?
It makes no sense. It makes absolutely.
Had to be the heat. Had to be the heat and humidity when they came to Mississippi.
Gotta be. Like Arizona doesn't have heat and humidity.
Well, no, it doesn't have humidity. Not like it does back home. Doesn't have the humidity. We at least have that in Mississippi. We have the humidity and the mosquitoes.
Utah 34-14 on California. Okay. The Vaki kid, 15 carries, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like Cal sent another, true freshman, whatever quarterback, like first road start, whatever, into Salt Lake City. This is on you. Like what are we doing here? This Mendoza kid, like 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see. Let's move to the ACC. We'll at least hit the big conferences today, and we'll do these quickly. ACC is coming up on this one. I think I just clicked FBS. That's the problem with these. Yeah, I did. Of course. Because everything is moving slow. So the ACC, North Carolina and Miami, we can start with that one. Pretty good showing by North Carolina. Allowed Miami to stay in this a little longer than I thought they would. Miami had a 17-14 lead at the half. Aside from that, North Carolina came out in the third quarter, put up 3 touchdowns. This was awesome, right? Tyler Van Dyke for Miami had more passing yards than Drake May, but North Carolina got him a running back, this Hampton kid. 197 yards rushing on 24 carries, had 1 touchdown. You got a thought on this one? Did you watch it last night?
Oh, I did. Because UNC got Walker. Receiver. So they got him back. Yeah, they got him. I've just been really interested in watching UNC right now. So when they're playing, I'm just kind of interested in watching them. So I'll watch their games, and they look pretty good. I don't think they're top 5 in that,
but you never know if they hang around undefeated long enough.
Yeah,
you never know. Florida State, speaking of top 5, the number 4 team in the AP poll. Florida State 41-3 over Syracuse. This Syracuse team is done. They have no depth, and once they lost a bunch of guys, it's over. Florida State did whatever they wanted to in this ball game. It was no issue. No issue.
And that's rough when you start 5-0.
Yeah,
and then you just 4 because they had
Clemson, and then North Carolina last week, and then Florida State this week.
That's hard.
That's a rough schedule too. Rough schedule. Louisville knocked out Notre Dame last week. Looked like world beaters, and then they go to Pitt, who was 1-4 on the season, and Pitt was starting a brand new quarterback tonight, and Louisville got steamrolled. This was the Pat Narduzzi the Nard Dog special. That's what we got here. Did you watch this one?
I had it on, and I was
had it on too.
What is this a replay?
Well, it's because it was on the CW. So
I couldn't believe it.
It was very interesting. You knew that Narduzzi was going to have one of these games for Pitt, but man, did not expect it here. I thought that Braum and the coaching staff were going to be a little bit more prepared, a little bit better, and they just were not. And Pitt showed up in a big way. NC State got humiliated by Duke. I thought NC State was going to have a shot to come out and win that ball game. And MJ Morris, I swear to God, these Apple Watches. MJ Morris, it just, and Duke, the Waters kid, had 13 carries for 123 yards and 1 touchdown on this NC State defense. I don't know what to make of them. Wake Forest, turns out they're kind of bad whenever they don't have a quarterback, and it looks like they don't have one. So they got beat 30-13. Were there any of these ACC games that really kind of piqued your interest here?
No, outside of North Carolina and watching Florida State, it seems like Florida State finally woke up early in the season. Okay, they're messing around, whatever. The Clemson game, and now it's no, we're going to stick. We're going to stick them. Yeah.
Yes. I'm with you. We'll move to the Big 12 right quick. And Thursday night, did you watch Houston and West Virginia?
Oh, it was on at the gym. Oh,
man.
Couldn't believe it.
I feel so bad for all of the West Virginia bettors. That was the most ridiculous fourth quarter that I can remember in quite. And don't get me wrong, Colorado State last night, that was ridiculous. They were down 30-10 with 4.5 minutes left, and came back and won the ball game. That was ridiculous. But this was 42 combined points here, and Dana Holgerson looked like he was ready to vomit on the sideline after that West Virginia touchdown with 12 seconds left. And then they hit a Hail Mary. It just 41-39 Houston was the perfect ending for that one. That's what that felt like. What were did you see the majority of that fourth quarter? What all was going on?
Oh, it was crazy. I thought okay. Again, I was thinking what you said about last time. West Virginia doing really well. Houston's fighting.
Yes. And some of these games Houston has not fought. And just insane to watch. Oklahoma State 39-32 over Kansas. Okay, so I guess Gundy figured it out because that team was putrid earlier, and now they're sitting at 4-2. Like this Oklahoma State team is 4-2 with a 33-7 home loss to South Alabama. There are things in this sport that will never make any sense ever. But this kid for Oklahoma State that's running the ball, the Gordon kid, 29 carries, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, and he caught 6 passes for 116 yards and a touchdown. Like he's basically everything for him. So pretty awesome. Cincinnati is bad. Like they're bad. 30-10 loss.
Did you see the uniforms, the Iowa State uniforms?
You talking about the ones from the TCU game last week?
No. Apparently, I think the Iowa State, the ones that are like flesh colored.
Oh yeah, no, that was against TCU.
Okay, I was all mixed up.
It was the Jack Trice legacy game.
Oh
yeah,
my
the ones
gosh!
Where everybody, my
like,
wife asked me about that.
Never mind.
Where it looks like they're nude out there playing. Like you got.
Whoa, that's a new strategy.
Oh, it's bananas. Yeah. So Iowa State wins 30-10 at Cincinnati. BYU gets humiliated at TCU, and I've talked about this before. There was a Reddit thread about BYU being vampires. BYU is now 12-11 straight up in their last 23 games that occurred during the day. They are 21-0 in games that happen at night. So BYU are in fact vampires. But this is the one I was telling you about, the Josh Hoover kid. Like 439 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. TCU looked awesome. Like probably should have been playing this kid all year. Is what it is. Texas Tech lost another quarterback, so they're down to their 3rd string guy, and he threw 3 interceptions, and they got beat at home by Kansas State, 38-21. So, it is what it is for the Big 12. Were there any other games that kind of stood out to you? Like I know in the Sun Belt. Well, here let's do AAC right quick. Memphis and Tulane. Did you watch that one on Friday night?
Oh, I had it on. I watched a little bit of it.
So Memphis, like their offense got rolling. They were up 21-10 at one point, I believe, and then Tulane got their offense rolling, and Tulane ends up winning 31-21. This Memphis team, man, like this ain't Mike Norvell's Memphis team. They are very frustrating. Temple in North Texas. Temple, you know how I was telling you about teams not letting the public know when a quarterback is out? Temple is one of those because they never released anything. They never said anything. EJ Warner just didn't even warm up. Like he didn't even get hurt in the last game, it didn't seem like. But there was no news on this, and he just didn't even, like, he wasn't out there for warm-ups. He didn't play in the game. Quincy Patterson was the quarterback for Temple, and they got destroyed by North Texas. I hate when there's like no information on something like that. But we had it with Utah last year with Cam Rising against Washington State. So it's going to happen, I suppose. Navy did well at Charlotte, like looked all right. Navy's got Air Force next week. Florida Atlantic. Were you and I talking about this when I said Florida Atlantic might actually be better off with Casey Thompson going out because they would have to go with Daniel Richardson, the quarterback from Central Michigan? That's their transfer.
Don't remember that.
So he had 382 yards passing with 3 touchdowns and 1 pick and was awesome. So FAU just humiliated South Florida. It was great. So either way, I think that's about all we need to hit today. We've gone a little bit over. So let's what do you say we going to get out of here? Anything else you feel like we need to discuss before we head on out?
No, not really. No? Another good weekend of football. I think the transfer portal has been a very interesting thing.
It definitely is.
It just some of these teams coming out and there's
a lot more parity.
Yes, and I feel like a lot more. It brought up a lot of teams. You just don't have these like super dominant teams
Oh,
and it's
other than Michigan.
Yeah, they're Michigan right now. I really hope Michigan keeps this up through the playoffs.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
I don't like when a team if they have like a rough championship game and then they get to the playoff and it's not that team that was playing in September, October. I want to see that team playing here. I don't want to see this team playing. I want to see that team that we were seeing all year playing.
Yes.
And to really show out on it. So
I'd be good with that.
Yeah.
I'd be good with that. The 12 team, for them to move it up a little bit, I think I'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Totally.
I am interested again about Oklahoma coming, working their way up. And is Penn State going to do something?
Oh, next week we find out.
Yeah. I kind of feel like maybe they're kind of flying under the radar a tad bit. Like we're aware of them, but are we really aware of them?
I'm excited about that ball game.
Yeah.
And it's a noon game, so it'll be over with, and I don't have to wait around too long. Perfect. So that one at noon, Alabama, Tennessee at 2:30. I don't even know what the night slate is. I think Florida State and Duke is the yeah, that one I think got the ABC game, and Miami Clemson got the ACC network. Changing to the guard.
Yeah.
All right. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
So Strong and Healthy Rehab, YouTube, Instagram, the TikTok stuff, doing all the dances like the kid. No, I don't do the dances. But you can find me on all there, any kind of stuff for your health, or if you want to talk about, hey, what's up with these injuries and whatnot, chat with you about that.
I like it. Of course, you can find me at Winning Cures on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE on Instagram and on TikTok. And what else? Oh, the BetUS College Football Show every Tuesday and Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Three Dog Thursday is TJ Reeves. He will be here on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Of course, my picks show, my preview, whatever show, that will be out on Thursdays as well, Thursday morning, or maybe around noon, depending on when the baby is going to allow me to do that. And yeah, from there, buymeacoffee.com/winningcures or Telegram, t.me/GaryWCE. With that said, I think it's time for us to get out of here. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Of course, God bless college football. And hopefully, all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for listening to Winning Cures Everything. Make sure and follow me on Twitter at GaryWCE. If you want to toss in a question, you can email me, Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Make sure and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.